Hey everyone, Nick Nielsen, Certified Financial Planner. Thank you for joining me on today's webinar, Strategies to Superfund Your Roth IRA. Before we get started, let's talk about a couple key Roth IRA rules that you need to remember before you take withdrawals. Number one, the Roth IRA needs to be open for 5 years. Number two, you need to have reached age 59 and a half. Now, these rules are waived for the death or disability of an account owner. These are not all the rules. These are just some of the key rules to remember. So why a Roth IRA to begin with? Number one, it allows you to put money away today that will grow tax deferred. And if you follow the rules that I mentioned, those withdrawals will come out tax free in retirement. As a financial planner, knowing that the withdrawals come out tax free takes away one of the biggest variables in financial planning, which is what will tax rates be in the future? We know with Roth IRAs, those distributions will come out tax free. Let's take a look at your employee sponsored retirement plan and let's understand contribution limits. Essentially, there's two groups of people, those 18 to 49 and those 50 and above. For the younger segment in 2020, they can contribute $19,500 per year. Total contributions for the plan cannot exceed $57,000, which is the employee contribution plus the employer match. For those 50 and above, they are allowed an additional $6,500 catch-up contribution. Second, let's understand your employer's match. First of all, your employer's match always goes to the pre-tax bucket. We'll give you an example of that in a little bit. Second, you need to understand your employer's formula on how the match is calculated. And finally, understand any limits that the plan might have. As an example, your plan might have a dollar limit, such as a $5,000 maximum match. Next, let's understand your contribution options. You may not have all of these options available to you in the plan, but these are three options that you might have. The pre-tax option allows someone 18 to 49 to put away $19,500. With the pre-tax option, you get a tax benefit or a tax break today, and in the future, when withdrawals are taken, that money is going to be taxed at ordinary income. With a Roth, if you follow the rules that I mentioned before, those distributions will come out tax-free. The after-tax is what we'll focus on here. The total contributions will be $57,000 minus the employer match. Once again, for those 50 and above, an additional $6,500 catch-up contribution is allowed. Let's look at a couple of examples. First, let's take a look at John. He's 55, he makes $250,000 a year, and he receives a dollar-for-dollar match on the first 6% of contributions. We've learned from the previous slide that the total contributions that he can make are $63,500. John receives a $15,000 employer match, which is 6% of $250,000. That leaves him with $48,500 that he can contribute to his retirement plan. Let's assume that he contributes all of that to the after-tax retirement plan. All right, so John has made an after-tax contribution of $48,500. Let's assume that those contributions, the value of those contributions grows to $50,000. Now, obviously, growth of any investment is not guaranteed. This is just a hypothetical situation. John has a couple of options. John doesn't have to leave his employer. John doesn't have to reach age 59 and a half. He can generally do this every year. With some plans, it's 2 years. But he can take his after-tax contributions and transfer those to a Roth IRA without any adverse tax consequences. So in this example, $48,500 can go to the Roth. He has an additional $1,500 of gains in the account. Those can be transferred to an IRA. Once again, no adverse tax consequences. Those dollars can then be self-directed. This is a powerful strategy in superfunding your Roth IRA. Think if you could continue contributing at this rate and follow this process for 10, 15, 20 years. Additionally, he would have the option that he could transfer the entire $50,000 to a Roth IRA. In this example here, there would be a tax consequence. There would be $1,500 of ordinary income that John would have to pay tax on. Let's look at a second example. Jane, 35, she also makes $250,000 a year. She receives a dollar for dollar match on the first 6% of her contributions. But due to her plan document, it says that Jane must contribute to the pre-tax bucket to receive the match, and she must max out her pre-tax bucket before contributing to the after-tax bucket. This is a pretty common plan restriction. So a potential solution for Jane, the fact that she's under 50, total contributions cannot exceed $57,000. The employer match is going to be $15,000. She has to max out her pre-tax bucket. That's $19,500. That leaves Jane with $22,500 that she can contribute to her after-tax retirement plan. And she can go through that same process of transferring those dollars to a Roth IRA and then self-directing those dollars. That is really how you super fund a Roth IRA. Would love to learn a little bit more about you and your story and see if super funding a Roth IRA is right for you. First step, reach out, 704-243-9376, or you can email me at knowmyplan@lpl.com. And together we can request a copy of your plan document if I don't have one already for your company. And let's see what your options are. Let's really understand your plan.